We're following breaking news on CBS Sports HQ. The Phoenix Suns star Devin Booker could be out 2 to 3 weeks with a grade 1 hamstring strain. That's according to ESPN. Now, the Suns are reportedly still evaluating MRI results to accurately determine a timetable for Booker's return. Now, Booker was injured during Phoenix's Game 2 loss to the Pelicans. It was reported Wednesday he could miss Games 3 and 4 in New Orleans. But now this injury could sideline him until the second round and beyond if the Suns advance. Game 3 coming up Friday night in New Orleans. The series, of course, tied at a game apiece. And, of course, not having your leading scorer in the lineup is something that affects every team. It certainly does for the Suns. Michael Bridges, CP3, players that are going to be forced to step up. A little more pressure on them. We're going to talk about that in a second. Suns 56-12 with Booker, 8-6 without. Both their offensive rating and net ratings take hits when Booker is not in that lineup. For more, let's bring in the coach, Avery Johnson, for reaction to this. Obviously, Coach, not having him for Games 3 and 4 is significant, especially because the Pelicans have kind of taken some of that momentum. But now it looks like they might be without him for the rest of this series. Give us your reaction to this, Booker being out possibly until the second round.
Well, this is a tough blow, and that's an understatement. And full disclosure, I've been knowing Devin Booker for close to 10 years. He grew up with my son, and I love when I get my happy Father's Day messages and birthday messages and holidays, and spend time with him in the summertime at his basketball camps. So I have a very close relationship with this young man. So this is a tough one, especially knowing that it's a hamstring injury. I've had a grade 1 hamstring injury towards the tail end of my 16-year NBA career when I played, and I'm hopeful that he can get back on the court in the next 2 to 3 weeks. But it's going to be an uphill climb because hamstrings are very temperamental. You would prefer to have a strained shoulder or a sprained ankle. Hamstrings are no fun. Hopefully their medical staff will get him the right type of treatment. Hopefully he'll heal faster than your average hamstring grade 1 strain. But this is a tough situation. I'm thinking more the 3-week time frame, maybe 4. I would be surprised the Sun's still alive if he's back on the court within 2 weeks.
Well, like you said, Coach, I mean, it's one of those injuries that you can't even practice on it because of the fact it's the hamstring. You have to stay off your feet, which obviously affects your conditioning in terms of being able to run around and whatnot. So even if he is out, let's say 3 weeks, you've missed 3 weeks of playoff basketball. Obviously, that intensity is a different level than in the regular season. So then when he comes back, depending on where the Suns are at that point in time, I mean, what kind of an effect does that have on a player's conditioning?
Well, it has an effect on him. Bring him off the bench like the Warriors are doing with Steph Curry. Just rinse and repeat that formula. But you're right. The hamstring injury, if you can't practice, some injuries, you could still get on the bike or you can get on the Stairmaster. You can't do anything right now, especially for the next 10 days until this injury calms down a little bit. And then they'll slowly start to figure out where he is. You'll transition to more pool workouts. So you'll do a lot of underground treadmill type of walking. But I don't see him getting on the court any sooner to practice just in running up and down the floor, lightly jogging for another 2 to 3 weeks. So this is a tough situation for the Suns. But now we're really going to see what they're made of. The team best record in the NBA. See if they can stretch this series out to a 7-game. They'll have that game at home, but they got to go to New Orleans and get a split. And we'll see how this energizes. If it energizes New Orleans even more, and does it really demoralize the Phoenix Suns with this breaking news that Devin Booker's out?
Yeah, that was my next question for you. Would you say that given the situation with Booker being out, the Pelicans grabbing momentum, and the effect that not having Booker is going to have on the Suns, not just on the court but off of it, would you call Game 3 a must-win game for Phoenix?
I wouldn't call it a must-win because here's a team, even though they're without Booker, competed in the NBA Finals. Chris Paul, it wasn't Chris Paul, if the maestro wasn't on the team, that would be different. Outstanding coach in Monty Williams. You still have DeAndre Ayton, Mikal Bridges. Cam Johnson is much improved. This is why you make the trade for a guy like, or you sign Landry Shamet. You have a guy like JaVale McGee who can fortify your front line. This is a team that prided themselves on depth and balance and defense. So again, it's not a must win. They're sure like to have it. But when you think of the New Orleans Pelicans, this has been handed to them on a silver platter. All right. You're in a situation where, you play against the Clippers on the road. Paul George, he enters COVID protocol. Now you're in another situation where the series is tied 1-1. You win game 2, and now Devin Booker is out for the next 2 to 3 weeks. Even though you don't want anybody to get sick or contract COVID or get injured, this has been handed to the New Orleans Pelicans on a silver platter, and they better take advantage of this because this type of situation doesn't roll around annually when you're in the playoffs.
And Coach, that's something you said when we talked about the play-in, and we had that situation. You said at that time this has been handed to the Pelicans on a silver platter for the go to the play-in to the playoffs. Now here we are talking about Devin Booker being out for the Suns, but I asked Tim Doyle this question, and I want to ask you the same question. I mean, you've got Golden State playing some really good basketball right now, up 2-0 in their series, winners of 7 straight games now, if you go back to the regular season. The Memphis Grizzlies bouncing back. They looked really good in their last game. So when you look at the West playoff picture, how does this change things in terms of those other teams that are kind of starting to find their groove versus what's going on with the Suns right now?
Well, barring any more unforeseen circumstances, and we know injuries are the great neutralizer, this swings and shifts towards the Golden State in terms of their favor and probability of winning the West, because you're talking about Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, all multiple NBA champions. The Iguodala, who they can throw in and use him in spurts. Wiggins is a young guy that's, he's moving forward. And then you add Jordan Poole to the mix, especially when you downsize and you play that really debt lineup of Draymond Green at the 5 spot. That's an unbelievable lineup on both ends of the floor because Draymond Green can defend 5s, but also he can put 5s in the bind. And with the shooting and the offensive prowess now of Jordan Poole, this team is a very balanced team. And how many teams can bring Steph Curry off the bench and allow him to score 30-plus points in 26 minutes? So this definitely swings in the Golden State Warriors' favor. They're getting healthier and healthier. Klay Thompson's getting stronger and stronger every game that goes by. Obviously, Steph is going to be Steph, but this X factor of Jordan Poole, not necessarily doing the same thing Kevin Durant did when he played with the Warriors, but they're forming their own sort of a big three where you got 3 guys that can comfortably get you 30.
Yeah, Golden State playing down their title chances, entering the playoffs, but looking pretty good now, up 2-0. And obviously the Suns, a big challenge ahead without Devin Booker, possibly for the rest of the first round against the New Orleans Pelicans. Coach Avery Johnson joining us here to discuss that. Booker possibly out 2 to 3 weeks with a grade 1 hamstring strain. That is according to ESPN here on Thursday afternoon. As you take a look at the odds to win the Western Conference, the Suns are favorites, plus 125. Then you had the Warriors at plus 160. The Warriors shortening those odds with each game and each performance so far in the playoffs. And then you have the Memphis Grizzlies, Ja Morant and company also looking to get in there at plus 700. The Jazz next at 15 to 1.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.